Uh, yeah. 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 Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of Rivercity 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and as I bring my mic closer to my face, because I forgot to, joining me is my good man, as always, Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, sir?
Doing. I'm okay. Probably better than the team is.
Look, we're at that point of the year or the point of the podcasting season where I tell people, go touch grass. Literally, go do anything else that will make you happy at this point. Like, because right now, it ain't the team in red. It
Or
ain't
blue.
or blue. It ain't happening, folks. Like right now, like don't stress yourself out. Don't do anything crazy after games. Just literally.
No, realistically, I'm sitting here living in a world of regret that yesterday afternoon I didn't, open up a FanDuel or DraftKings or any of those sites and just find whichever one would have, Matt Bentley scores a goal because that seems like the biggest lock bet of all time because every single, you know, it seems like player, but certainly striker that comes back and plays us does us somehow.
Yep.
Yep. So that was free money just sitting there and
Excuse me.
didn't even look.
Did
That's on me.
But as always, listeners, we just want to say if you haven't already, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 by the end of this year. We're close to it. I think last time I checked, we're on 83. So, send it to a friend. Have us just share and subscribe to the podcast. Also, if you want to keep up to date with everything going on, also like Alex's latest article on our two latest signs, Ryan Bear and Marcelo Large. You can go to rivercity93.com and check out those articles there. And while you're doing that, you can also donate to the podcast because what you go to helps with the production value of this show. So with all that being said, Matt, Richmond played a Chattanooga team, and it always seems, especially this year, whenever we play Tennessee or Chattanooga, it seems to rain like it has never rained before. And as soon as I saw that rain, some part of me was just like, we're not winning today. And lo and behold, a couple hours later, we did it.
I mean, this was actually a real soccer game because the other two in Tennessee, Chattanooga and Knoxville, one of them was like a water polo game. The other one, technically didn't happen, even though you know Darwin's body is still buried underneath the broken goalposts.
R.I.P. Darwin.
But yeah, I had no idea it was supposed to rain. I was just going for a light jog, uh, and got caught right in the middle of that. And I was like,
Oh,
"What in the hell is going on right now?" And so yeah, fun times. But by the time the game came around, if you didn't know, you'd never know.
yeah.
So shout out to the grounds crew for drainage, you know, concept.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
But
they are the real MVPs. They are the real MVPs. Doing all that hard work out there, especially. Yeah, man. And so, yeah, like I said before, if you wonder why I keep clearing my throat, it's because I wasn't at the game because working with kids, you tend to get sick. And right now, if you can't tell by my voice, I'm currently dealing with a summer cold, and it
wait,
sucks.
are you saying Darren's been sick for the whole year? And is that your I'm not making an excuse, but here's why things aren't going well and you couldn't make it to the game?
I see what you did there. Hey, yes, that is my excuse for not making it to the game. But I did watch it live and put myself to the misery of watching this. And oh
What were
boy,
the talking points by the commentary for this game?
uh
How many times did they mention two new signings?
a few times. They've also mentioned like Richmond needs to start quick because Richmond gives them goals in the first 15 minutes.
Haha,
Um,
jokes on them.
yeah, so stuff like that. They talked about Matt Bentley coming back to Richmond. They talked about the fan base. They talked about the youth players in Richmond. Yeah,
Okay.
so
I mean, I
normal, still talking points. Nothing really
always
changed.
have the same two or three stories they recycle every single broadcast. I wasn't sure which ones they picked for this one.
Yeah, no, they didn't change. They didn't change at all. So yeah, so I mean, obviously, see, we started talking about the two new signings. That well, obviously, let's start with them. So yeah, if you haven't been paying attention, like I said, Alex Ashton, who's League One updater, wrote two amazing articles. I mean, not two, one amazing article on two players who joined the Richmond Kickers. First off is Ryan Bear, and I low key love his name because it's close enough to my last name, which is Barr. It's just he has an E and I have an R. But hey, we're in the same family. Somewhere we got separated. But he's on loan from Tacoma Defiance. Well, really Seattle Sounders, but
Seattle,
Tacoma.
yeah. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, for real. So he's on loan from there for to the end of the year. And then Marcelo Lodge, who happens to be from the same area, Spokane, was, I don't want to say released, but he was more or less released from Spokane. And Darren decided to go inside his piggy bank that Rob allowed him to go into inside a 6'4" beast of a center back. That that is a big man.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a, it's a look when you make Guy look like a small guy.
yeah. Okay, so you were there in person. Like, is he as tall as advertised? Like, is he?
Oh, he's definitely the biggest guy out there. Like I said, you know,
Okay.
Guy looked noticeably shorter than him, and
Ooh,
Guy's our big boy, or had been our big boy in the back. So he's got quite the frame. I liked what I was seeing out of him. He seemed very calming out
ooh,
there. So not just like he seemed calm on the ball, but seemed to you know bring about a calming attitude for Guy, for Simon, for the guys around him
yeah,
quite a bit because I can't remember who I was talking to at the game about this, but they made a really good point that hey, this allows Guy to be kind of the number two center back there and have somebody who can kind of presumably dictate what's going on and uh, that's not probably Griffin or Fella's real forte
yeah,
right now is being the ringleader in the back. I think Cella's more of the you know the bruiser type of defender. Griffin, yeah, I think Griffin long term could be the kind of orchestrator of the back line, but he's not there yet. So
yeah,
having a guy who I think can bring all of those elements together, one game, but one game in you know, looks the part.
yeah. All right. Well, that's good to see. Yeah, I was impressed with what I saw for him play and whatnot. He looked, like you said, he looked very organized. Bear, on the other hand, I don't know what to make of him yet. So I was watching, game and I saw him pop up. Is he supposed to be like a CDM? Because that's the way how it was described. But watching him play, it looked like he was very much involved in the attack, like
I
box to
think
box,
I
almost a
think at
couple
least at the start of
more.
the game he was playing kind of the traditional Chandler role this
Yeah,
year. Uh, at once the substitution had to get made in the first half. I'm not really sure how the distribution of responsibilities panned out, but yeah, he looks like your standard you know high energy midfielder. Going to be able to go around, be a little bit more of a box to box connector. Like I don't think he's like the creative 10 assists a season kind of guy that maybe people would hope that was coming in, but you know that's not what Darren asked for out of this midfield, especially this year's edition of this midfield. So I
yeah,
think for what the current goals for the midfielders are, at worst he's going to be an upgrade as a body in there. At best, I think as he kind of figures out what his teammates are looking for, how he can be able to connect with them, he can be able to be a plus player in the midfield. Probably wasn't the definitely wasn't the perfect debut. We'll get into that, but up until that point, I don't think he necessarily looked bad, even if there wasn't anything that stood out where you're like, all right, Ryan, way to go, new guy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. These two signings give me an idea, probably for an off-season article where we see like how they really fit into the team. But like Darren has made a few mid-season signings before, and some have hit, some haven't. So I want to rank them based on how they do. So maybe that's an idea for the off-season. I need to write that down because I probably forget it. Somebody remind me. But I think really the big talking point in this game, outside of the scoreline and how once again fans are feeling, I think is Nils Seufert's injury, and I think that really took this. I didn't realize how much that injury until I went back and rewatched the game took the complete energy out of this team. Like it took all of the creativity or the creativity that was left out of this team because this team went into this game with Darwin still hurt. We learned, if you haven't listened to it, the final whistle, episode 4 is out now. Adrian Billhart picked up another knock, and I believe there were reports about Emmy being a late game scratch as well. So assuming he
Apparently,
won't.
yeah.
So assuming like your best 3 attackers outside of Kirkland and Chandler O'Dwyer, you lose another one in Nils Seufert. So really, all the creativity that you would have thought you had is now on IR, and that really took the win out of this team.
Yeah, and I think the good way to phrase it is that the creativity that existed,
Yeah.
because we haven't seen a lot, you know, recently. Like the Omaha game seems to be the absolute aberration, to what this attack has been. We talked about this, uh, with John Morrissey last week, right?
Mhm.
The attack, can look really good sometimes, but then there's those games where they just don't show up like at all.
Yeah.
And realistically, this was another one of those. Uh, so yeah, losing Niels didn't help. Uh, he's probably a nice guy. I don't understand why you go to Jonathan Kanagwa right there. Uh, that's how is that going to help your team in any way,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you had James Vaughn there on the bench.
right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
Vaughn, you could put Richmond in if you want to try to get somebody who's a little more attacking. You still have Dak and Bear there to do a lot of the defensive work. You could put in a Bolduc or Landon or somebody on up front, drop Chandler back into the midfield if you wanted to shore that up
I
a
mean,
little
hey,
bit
like he
more.
just said it with Bear, like he was doing the Chandler Dwyer role. The
Yeah,
guy
slide him.
who normally does Chandler Dwyer role was playing striker.
Yeah, I mean that's another one. Like, do we really need to go back to that again? Because I also, well, we'll hold on that. Let's finish talking about the Nielsen. But there are options, I think,
Yeah.
for that position, and uh, yeah, hopefully it's nothing serious. It's more precautionary. Ain't no way in hell we better see him on Wednesday, even if he's okay. No,
No.
save him. If he's good to go, save him for Sunday. Because that's far more important.
Right. And we'll talk more about Wednesday when we get to that point. If you haven't known, we play CD Leganes. But yeah, like and this is nothing against Kanagwa. It's nothing impressive. Like there's not a moment where I go back and watch that game, and even watching it, I was like, if you took Kanagwa out of this game, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
And the one thing I can remember about him is, in the second half, he gets the ball played to him in the box, and I'm pretty sure he was the one who, had the ball facing goal and turns away from goal
Mhm.
inside the penalty area. It's like, bro, you got to take your shot when you get it.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too impressive. And so this is another point that I guess we could talk about. Darren mentioned a lot that we were going to see something different out of this team. And Matt, I have to say, watching this game and rewatching this game, I thought we were going to see a back three. I thought like it was going to be a back three, especially at large. You had Guy Franklin, Dakota Bar Nathan, who we said multiple times. He's truly a center back role playing as a CDM. Like he's a little bit more comfortable in that role. He can be the ball carrier into the midfield. But it felt like the same thing before. Like it just felt like we're taking square blocks and trying to put them in round holes and be like, it's going to fit if I push it hard enough. And it
Yeah.
didn't. Like,
Well, haven't you learned from all of Darren's interviews? He's smarter than everybody else, so his system is obviously going to be better, and that's why he never changes a goddamn thing about his system ever. Period. That's why you know even though the guys available to him, maybe a 4-3-3 doesn't make sense because you have like three and a half healthy attackers. No, still going to bang that in. Got to move our an actual productive center forward out to the wing. Now, hand up, I thought that Josh has been good on the wing in the past, but I mean for Chandler to play up front, no. Uh, and Kirkland was completely invisible in the first half. Like,
yeah,
did he? I can't think of a single thing he did in the first half at all. Second half picked it up a little bit, but you're taking your most productive attacker and you basically burying him, so that way, you can play your system. That I don't know, maybe it's just me. I think other teams in the league have kind of figured out what we're going to do at every moment in time. And the
yeah,
one time recently that anything's worked is when we had to kind of change it up because we're on the little baseball field.
yeah. Like, so this is my thing. One, let's not try to be all just negative names. We're going to actually talk about why Darren is forced to kind of play this way or why things are the way that they
Oh,
are.
hold on. He is not forced to play this way.
Well, no, true, no.
We've been watching this for 6 years. He chooses to do this.
Well, why is he sticking with this? I think is a better way we can try to explain or figure it out. And like, all right, so let's look at it. Chattanooga is a team who is best described as I would tell people is they are a team that wants to fight you in a phone booth. They are a super low block team. They don't care about possession. The coach will tell you he doesn't care about possession. He cares about efficiency. And it's moving the ball up the field as quickly as they can on fast break transition and getting their players isolated 1v1 against defenders, i.e., the second goal. Also, the other thing about this is they have a defined system who all their players are bought into, and is what they've been doing. Also, Chattanooga, more or less, is one of the hottest teams in USL League One. I think they've been on a winning streak now for the last 5 or 6 games. I don't have the direct numbers in front of me, but I know they haven't lost in a while. And they pretty much do everything that Richmond hates. They give Richmond the ball, they force Richmond to try to break them down, and they force Richmond to try to play on the wings in a slow, methodical way. What Richmond wants to play is quick, direct, and move the ball up the field from A to B as quick as they can. That wasn't happening. Yeah. And I,
So, so
yeah.
what thing I want to point out too, Ellie. Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Do you know what happened on June 7th around like 7:45, 7:50 p.m.?
No, I don't know the top of my head. What?
We're in stoppage time against Texoma. Matt Bolduc takes a shot. Pretty easy save by the Texoma keeper.
Yeah.
Okay? Why do I bring that up? Because until Bolduc gets that shot on the breakaway, great pass by Richmond, put him in,
Yeah.
in like the 83rd minute. That was the last time the Kickers had a shot on goal at home.
Jesus Christ.
That's over 3 full games worth of time. They didn't even get a shot on target. They did not make the keeper make a save. That's can't possibly be seen as acceptable, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And you can say, oh, level of opposition. Okay, Lexington, good team. Spokane, good team. Texoma, I mean, they're better than us right now. Chattanooga, they're better than us right now. But come on, it took 83 minutes to get a shot on target. Now, the way they keep the stats, Chandler's shot that hit the post doesn't count as on target, even though it literally hit the target.
yeah,
Uh,
well, that one I was again.
but for the purposes of the point and for the argument, over three you know matches of game time at home without getting a shot on target, you can't be surprised that people are upset about what your team is putting out there and the performance when you literally don't give them a chance to see success.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's been 3 full months without a home win.
That too.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, like we've been saying for the longest, like, it feel like this team right now is stuck in neutral, but it literally feel like this team is just stuck in reverse. Like
I wouldn't even say the team. To me, overall, the organization as a whole just feels stale, right?
yeah,
Like there's nothing new. There's nothing interesting. There's it's just the same old. Whether it's the on the field, whether it's the style of communications, whether it's the promotions at the stadium. It's like, hey, nobody cares. It's another beer night. Big deal. You have you know. I feel like the team thinks that okay, well we sell different types of beer. Coming out, guys. Like okay, like have an interesting promotion. Like oh, it's first responders night. It's military night. It's I mean, what other kind of same promotion that doesn't actually mean anything can you put out there, right?
yeah,
Stale autopilot nonsense.
yeah. I was making this point in the Discord, like if you want to use the injuries as a reason why things are the way how they are with the team, like I can understand that. Like I mentioned before, you miss if you take the three top attackers off any team, that team is naturally going to struggle, right? Because you're asking your defense to do a lot more, where this defense hasn't shown you that they are able to do it yet. So yeah, it's going to be a struggle, and I get that. My issue becomes when, as a fan, I can see there's a visible issue. As a journalist, I can see there's a visible issue. But yet I am being told there's no issue. There's we I've been, and also being told they are pissed off that they're not winning, which I'm glad they're pissed off they're not winning. But and I think about this as a teacher's sense of like, and like Darren in this model is the teacher, right? So it's important upon him to make sure that the class or the players understand, analyze, and be able to execute what he is trying to teach. Right now, there is some kind of disconnect because we are seeing the same mistakes happen on the field with different players. Bad tackles in the box, like the pin that happened. No,
You know what? I actually don't even put much blame there. Like
no, I'm not
that's
putting
unlucky.
blame. Like
That's an
it,
unlucky one. I think the
yeah,
second goal. I think there's more of the pattern issues on the
yeah.
second goal than the first one.
But to the pinpoint, like my whole thing is, granted, if there's VAR, maybe it gets overturned because did Matt Bentley kind of throw himself at it? Yes, but also like that pin chance should have never happened because a couple of plays before that, you could have clearly got that ball out of danger, but we didn't do that. We weren't. The midfield wasn't
Hmm.
able to get a foot on the ball, slow the ball down, and take control of this game,
Or
and not prevent that kind of chance.
yeah, I mean, not even that. Like you saw, who's it? Both Bear and Kirkland just kind of watch the ball sit there, and that's when Bentley at least got close enough to be able to you know draw the contact. It's like
Right, that
kick it out for
awareness.
a corner kick. Who cares?
Right, that awareness. Right, and you know, even your point to the second goal. Now, the second goal, I'm a little bit more laxed on. Not laxed on. That's the wrong way to say it. I'm a little bit more like pulled back from it because of the fact of like I've already seen how this game was going to go, and whoever scored first, the opposing team was then going to have to open up and try to chase. Richmond was trying to chase at that point, not well, but they were trying to chase, and they had to open up and play more expansive. And literally, right on cue, Chattanooga found space, playing how they want to play, and were able to score a goal.
You think we had actually changed anything by that point?
No,
No, I didn't think so either,
no, no.
which is
Like,
also infuriating.
yeah, like
Like,
I guess that's just my point right now. And I'm trying to analyze it. I'm trying to look at this game like for what it is, but I keep seeing the same mistakes. So as a teacher, I'm like, okay, something is not being executed either A in the lesson plan that you are planning and you think you are communicating to your players, but it isn't being communicated. B on the training field, something isn't working right, and instead of fixing it, you keep trying to implement the same lesson plan, but you probably just need to tear it up and throw it away. Or C, like just whatever the style is that was working at the top of the year with your top players, you don't have them right now. So you got to change it. And you would think with 14 days off, and now, and also I get it. Once again, Emmy is a late game stretch, so that made me throw something off. But you have Josh Kirkland, who scored 6 goals, who's been your best backup striker since Matt Bentley in the 2022 season. Why not just keep him at starting striker instead of moving him out to the wing? You could have easily put Matt Boda. Now, Matt Boda can only give you 45 or 60 minutes. You literally just did that with Landon Johnson. You can't do that here, out here in the wing.
yeah, well, if you need to get creative, okay, you you've liked what Beckett's given you. Put Beckett in left back, slide Maxi up to left wing.
Or like, and I get it also, like the Nils injury throws you off completely, right? Because he is now the main builder. Okay, let's change it up. Let's go to a 4-4-2. But and Matt, you've made this point so many times, so I can't even take credit for it. It just feels like the subs are for subs' sake and not for how do we get an advantage. It just feels as if right now the subs are being made to keep things in the same block. And instead of, okay, where can I gain an advantage with the player pool that I have available to me?
Yeah, I mean,
And
like we even
yeah,
saw this game. The subs come in and they're all one for ones, and we end up with Andrew Richmond playing a center forward position at the end, which I'm pretty sure is not his role. I mean, he did fairly well out there and looked dangerous. That's not the point though, right? We
yeah.
didn't have to force feed in you know, three across the front right there. Maybe it can look a little bit different somehow, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's okay, but yeah, I think for a lot of the fans, like, there's no real difference in losing 1-0 or 2-0. You go down one, it's not wait another 10 minutes, go down 2-0, and then make changes. It's roll the dice at it. Take the shot at getting a result back out of there. And okay, if it ends up being 2-0 instead, at least you tried something else, and there's a sign that hey, we tried to to chase it, didn't
Yeah.
work out. I think more people can live with that than just kind of the staying in like stasis.
And to be honest with you, like I praised Darren at the start of the year because I felt like he got back to his roots. The squash buckling, gung ho attack with a gritty defense, and I was like, all right, we're back to 2021, 2022 version of Darren. And now it's felt like with the injuries and the form of this team, he's gone back to pulling the handbrake, has gone back to being conservative. Right. And once again, I am not a soccer coach. I am just a guy analyzing the team, watching it, and it just feels very conservative in nature. It doesn't feel like we have that same risk, that same boldness about us that made us one of the highest scoring teams in USL League when to start the year off with, right?
Yeah.
Like there were no shots outside of the box. There were no shots that put Smith under danger. There were no sequences in play that made Chattanooga have to scramble back to the goal. Like if I could go back in the beginning of the year, I think about Darwin. Like and now, granted, also once again, those players not here, but I think about like Darwin and the terror that he caused against AV Alta. I think about Kirkland and the goals he scored against Westchester. Those moments of just pure operation. I think about James Vaughn goal, even though we lost the game in the U.S. Open Cup, a shot outside the box. Like Chattanooga, granted, they are a veteran team and they haven't spent a bunch of money on their roster. That's been very known, but everything was in front of Chattanooga. And one thing that USL defenders here probably do better than any other defenders is that if you keep everything in front of them, they will excel and do well. But it's the moments where you can get in behind them and cause moments of panic that causes teams to mess up.
Hmm.
And right now,
And
Darren and
I
the
thought,
staff hasn't been able to execute that. And he got it
and I,
right
thought-
we had to do
and I
that.
think that point exactly is why we looked good for the first 15 minutes or so because Hayden was up there on the left wing, just running after everything and being an absolute pest up
Yeah.
there, and it was causing them to play some balls directly out of bounds or you make little mistakes here and there. Uh, I wouldn't want a whole team full of Haydens, but having a guy like that on the field, if the rest of the team is kind of playing in concert with him, can be useful, especially at this level, can directly lead to something. It didn't in this game, but I think that's uh, in the situation we're in, that might be the style we need to play of just you know be annoying.
Yeah. Like, and to be honest with you as well, like, I know Darren and his staff are trying everything to get this team back on track. I do not doubt that. Like, I 100% believe they are trying everything in their ability. But teacher to teacher, and I know there's some educators, and Matt, you work in education, you will understand that. Sometimes as a teacher, you might come up with a perfect lesson plan that's plan A. And then you get punched or something happens and you don't have a plan B. So you keep trying to stick with plan A. And in the course of doing that, you put up blinders and you just solely focus on I have to make plan A work. I have to make plan A work. I have to make plan A work. And in thus doing so, you don't realize everything else in the course around you is not working. Right?
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure like there are like for Darren it's probably plan A, point one, point two, point three, point four, and so on and so forth. But right now, plan A ain't working because you're missing, like we keep saying, you're missing three of your key guys. So now, okay, let me go to plan B and make sure that if we ain't scoring, like you said, Matt, be annoying. Like, make this team defensively sturdy, like how they were to 2020, 2021, 2022. Like, lean into that. And once again, like, I know what you're going to say, Matt, but I'm going to say it. I feel bad for James Stead because, once again, he did not have a bad game. The goal he gave up, there's none. Maybe he could have saved it. I don't know. I'm really not putting the blame on him for that.
mm.
But
Thought I could have done better with the second one.
yeah, but like the PK save, this team don't save PKs, and really PKs don't even favor goalkeepers. So I don't even blame him for that. But it feels like once again, like maybe put Pablo back there. Like maybe it is time to give Paulo a good running game and see what he can offer. And just if you got Marcelo Lars and if you got Ryan Berenbaugh on this team and you have made it known that we are going to see something different, maybe there's something different as this is playing a back three and being a defensive starter. And you know what? Like taking the Yuya Omaha playbook, maybe not like how the goals score because you're not going to play in a field like that again, but just getting fouls, like just tactical fouls, just slowing the game down. Like I think I made a mental note in my head. There was a moment early in the first half. Yeah, it was early in the first half. The ball went out of bounds, and James Stanton, he takes the goal kick literally 5 feet. I counted. It was 5 feet from the mouth of his goal, and they played the ball quick, and it almost became a turnover. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, right now, I don't need you to do that because this team isn't in an offensive flow. Where if I have a vet back there, a vet just slows the game down. And then, lo and behold, 5 minutes later, Maxie gets to the ball, and Maxie gets fouled. And it just slows the game down. And it just allowed Richmond to catch their breath where they were under a little wave of pressure, right? Just little things like that. Like, if that's what Richmond has to be right now to get back on course, so be it. Thrive in that. But don't try to keep executing the same game plan when you don't have all the pieces to it.
Yeah.
All right, I
Uh,
went up right there.
no, what you're saying gave me an idea though, right? Maybe we do use the Union Omaha plan. I hear there's going to be a baseball, Diamond Open in a few weeks, right? Yeah,
Very true. Very true.
just
Very
pick
true.
up, move up shop a little bit, uh,
Oh,
and I mean, granted, very mixed results on baseball field so far this year. A big win, but also like a whole day of brokenness. So a little
yeah.
bit risk reward,
All right. All right.
but clearly playing on City Stadium's field not conducive to what this team wants to do,
So, no.
or maybe what they want. Maybe it's conducive to what they want to do, not conducive to what they can do.
Maybe the groundskeeper crew just doesn't need to do their job for like a good month and a half and just let the field go to crap, and then who knows?
Or just you know each day just pull the lines in like a foot at a time. Next thing you know, we're on a little postage stamp. Nobody
Right.
noticed.
Nobody knows. Like you gotta laugh so you can avoid crying. So yeah, we're gonna stop the ranting. I know
I
you
can't
got
promise that.
yeah, well, I know we try not to rant too much, and we don't want this just to be a negative Nancy show. Those are fun. We try to have some fun.
Uh, but in fairness, there were some
Yeah,
bright spots out there,
yeah,
right? Richmond looked good when he came on. Like I said I what Hayden was doing up front. Bolduc was active when he came in. Had a couple of decent looks. Uh, both new players looked like they had something to bring, especially Lage. So it wasn't all bad. It's just end of the day, still ended up with the same place we've been over and over and over again.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's probably a good way. Like overall, I think a good way how to look at it is there were bright spots. Certain players stood out, but since Richmond wasn't able to execute and finish the chances that the few that were presented to them, it makes it tough. Makes it very tough. Um, so yeah, so we moved past the game. We put that to the side. Lo and behold, some way this team is still eighth in USL League One. Matt, let me ask you this question: is this season salvageable?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's still salvageable, right? Yeah, it's half the season, to go still. Technically on the right side of the line right now, although the results around the league yesterday did not help, uh, very much. So yeah, I mean, they can, all of a sudden get hot, run off a streak of 3 or 4 games, and in a great spot. So it's way too early to fully kind of just put I don't know. I can't pick which metaphor I want to go with right now. Too soon to call them dead because there's just way too much time left, and this league is weird sometimes, where all it takes is 2 or 3 games, and you shoot up or crash down the standings.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think the season is still salvageable, but what I think fans reasonably should expect from the next few matches is it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy watching. It ain't going to be like Chelsea and PSG, which I need. This is me standing on my personal soapbox, which I have probably already done so far. But I need people because I've sometimes walked around the cars. I just pick up on hearing conversations. I need people who support European teams, especially in the Premier League, to realize this is third division soccer. This is third division American soccer. Like, it is not going to be sequences of 20 pretty passes, ping, 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 ping. You're not going to see that here. It's going to look gritty. You can see a lot of mess ups. Like, it's just it is what it is. It's third division soccer. But I think reasonably, I just want to see this team and coaching staff just kind of push it out of conservative, be a little bit more aggressive. Just be and look, like you said, man. If we're gonna ask for it, we have to also understand if it doesn't pay off, it doesn't pay off. But I want this team not to go completely gung ho, but be comfortable taking shots outside the box. Be comfortable having tactical fouls. Be comfortable getting yellows. Be comfortable changing the system and be comfortable changing the shape. Like don't overthink it a little bit. I feel like we're kind of overthinking it a little bit. Like the kickers are, the kid right before they take the SET who's been studying for like a month straight, who's now getting cold sweats and, you know, freaking out because they think their whole life is dependent on a standardized test.
Yeah, we needed to be the cool kid going out the night before, still rolling in, and you know, I don't even know what scale they're using for the SAT these days. Are they back to 1600?
Maybe, I think so.
Yeah, it goes out the night before, with their boyfriend girlfriend, parties it up, rolls in Saturday morning, you take the test, still rock high 13 something, because they're cool and relaxed, and they know they got this.
Yeah, for real. My bad. Real quick, before we head into our listener questions, if you have a listener question and if you want to submit it to the show, feel free to do so. You can send it to rivercity93 at gmail.com or through the lengthy of social media. So, very quick, the first one we have is from Alfredo. Oh, why is it Alfredo? Alfred. I should know his name because he's a good friend of mine. I should know this. But he says, "Hey, Elliot, from what I understand, 2022 was a long time coming in terms of winning the league. Was the wait worth it? Like, was that season extremely satisfying due to the wait, or was it something simple like just winning?"
I mean, it's hard to separate those two, right? Because it's impossible to fully say. Like, so last time before 2022, the team won. I think it was 2013. They won the regular season and what was then USL Pro, single table, beat out Orlando City. They went the whole season with just one loss. You know, uh, in the regular season. Uh, so I'm actually still a little upset how that even went down because I think it's the first 21 games or 22 in a row unbeaten, and then this is still back in the day when you would play back to backs.
Oh,
So
okay.
they played down in Charlotte on Friday or Saturday. Got a win there, and then had to go to Charleston the next day, and it was a mixed kind of team Lee had to put out there, just because it was a quick turnaround, and they got beat up, pretty bad in that one. But that was the one loss of the season. I just wish they could have been able to run that out and see if they could have got the unbeaten season. Uh, didn't end well in the playoffs, much like 2022 actually. Semifinal loss at home. Uh, so, so that's a little bit of the context. I mean, I think part of it also depends on how long you've been around, right? It's going to feel very different for somebody who's you maybe like us who had been around for a while than maybe somebody who came in around COVID time, right? And that's
Mhm.
not to say that means more to those who've been around longer. It just means that it had been longer since we've seen a win. So it's obviously it's going to be a different lived experience
Yeah.
through there. But I think the common through point is winning makes people feel good. It makes people enjoy going to the game even more than just being able to see their friends there, have the community element of it. You know, winning kind of boosts that by whatever percentage you want to claim it boosts it by, but I think it's an undeniable fact that it enhances the experience.
Yeah. I think 2022 was such a big year because for me, I would say that was my real first taste of seeing success with this club. You know, because I started following 2016, so I saw that playoff. No, 2015, I saw that playoff run. 2016, that was a playoff run.
Hmm.
2017, that was kind of like the fallout.
That was the first year where it started to dip and we missed the playoffs.
Yeah, 29, no, 2018 was the negative 80 goal season. 2019, that was actually the start of the podcast. That was the 7 game losing streak where we didn't score a goal. 2020 was COVID, but we missed out on the playoffs against Chattanooga.
Well, that just absolutely collapsed down the stretch.
Yeah. 2021, we got into the playoffs on the final day because Toronto FC, I think they lost to New England. They played somebody.
Those two teams played. Those two teams played each other. I can't remember which result it was we needed.
Yeah, but I remember, no, Toronto lost. I remember that. But we got in. So I didn't care about the last game that was against FC Tucson. Lo and
Hmm.
behold, we played FC Tucson that following week and lost 1-0 on a throw-in goal that still irritates my soul. And then 2022. So that was like seeing this team. And I think the other thing that made 2022 special is it came out of nowhere. Because people thought Richmond was going to be good, but they didn't think like league title winning good. So that made 2022 special.
Yeah, and you got to see guys really kind of make the leap. Like Emmy was already MVP standard, but you saw Bolaños kind of make a leap. You saw Ethan Bryant make a leap. You saw like Vinyals actually like show himself
Yeah.
that year. You had the young guys come in like your Stu Ritchies, your Stephen Paynes, and make an instant impact. So it was just all around exciting. It took a little while for them to get going. It wasn't until uh, honestly probably right around that you know early summer time. I think
I
that
would
game
say
down in North
it's the
Carolina where
Tucson
they
game.
came back 2 goals in stoppage time to beat North Carolina that really kind of vaulted them
Yeah.
on the rocket ship.
I would say it's the Tucson game that I remember. We were down 1-0 at halftime. And I'll never forget it. I think that's the moment when I knew this team was going to be good. Because I looked at Chenier and I was like, this team is going to win. And Chenier was like, what do you mean? We're down 1-0 at halftime. Like, we're not doing this. We're not doing. I was like, Chenier, we're going to be fine. And this team went on to score 4 goals. And I was like, yeah, this is how it's going to go. And I felt fine with that. Once again, also, Chattanooga ruined our season. So it's always Chattanooga for some odd reason. I don't I don't understand why that is Darren's bogey team. Like it is mind-numbingly dumb. All right. So before I get depressed again, we move on to another listener question. Once again, if you want to submit one, you can do so at rivercity93.com, or you can send it to his email at 93rivercity at gmail.com. That is correct email. Send it there. So this one is from Chip McGee. He says, also, well, not also, uh, does the youth model even work at this level? Signing a pro contract for USL League One is likely way less than a D1 scholarship. Is the incentive to sign really fair? Matt, I think we've answered this question a few times. And my basic belief is I think one, it depends on the player. I think two, I think there is benefit because, and Darren made this point, which I agree with, is that you look around most lower league clubs around the world, the way how they make their money is via player sales. And the Kickers are trying to do something that has not been seen yet in lower league soccer here in America, where you have X product that is yours and you flip them and you receive money for it. It really hasn't worked like that, especially from a youth perspective. I think I think there are three routes normally that young players can normally take. Like, and I'm pretty sure the conversation goes something like this: like, if you're a D1 player, are you going to get game playing time there, or is it a place for you to develop, or do you need more time to develop? I think kickers have had experience with all of these kinds of players. Like a player like Gabe Cox, right? For instance, he's doing good at Furman, right? He probably wasn't ready to go to the first team for the Rich Kickers, right? He could probably contribute here and there and whatnot, but he wasn't ready for the first team. So go to college, develop, and then come back. Or i.e. Simon Fitch. You have players that, like a Nick Simmons, probably is more than ready to be a contributor at this level if given the game time and minutes. Probably needs one good season of D1 soccer at UVA, and then more or less, like, it wouldn't shock me in a year or two if he's making a jump to MLS Next Pro somewhere, playing in that system, or someone like a Griffin Garnett and or a Becca Howe. Is playing college soccer or playing Division III soccer in professional ranks any real difference to how they're going to develop as a player? Probably not. So yeah, that's the way I think about it. What
Yeah,
about you, Matt?
I think it depends. Well, there's multi parts to this question. So, like, is it something that can overall work? Like, I understand what Rob and Darren have in mind, but
Yeah,
I think where the potential flaw in their ideology comes from is that it's part of the culture in a lot of these other countries. For teams to buy players up from lower level teams, right? And that works great in France or Hungary or wherever. It's not the way the culture works here, though. So I, I'm very skeptical that all of a sudden, you know, us doing this is going to make MLS teams or even championship level teams say, "Oh, we got to buy up Beckett Howell, right here from them." When realistically, they can probably go into the college ranks, or anywhere else and find another Beckett Howell, you know, for free.
yeah,
So I think that's where I'm unsure of can it really work because yes, in a theoretical model it can, but it's very very hard to be the a single actor in a culture change,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it needs to be kind of a upswelling, and yeah, maybe you can be on the tip of the spear for it, but I feel a lot more often these ideas of cultural upswelling, like cultural change, end up fizzling out than hitting. Like, see pretty much any social movement that ever happens in politics. For every Obama, you get hundreds of others, flashes in the pan that were hot for a minute and then disappear. Right?
well, we know this ain't a flash and play because they are very much committed to it, very much.
Okay,
And I
maybe
mean,
it flash in the pan's not right, but it's that like one outlier, like I'm gonna get into like the super nerdy stuff now, like Ron Paul, for forever was like kind of the one libertarian amongst the Republicans where he was dug in on his things and his things alone, and yeah, he tried to run for president and everything, never really took off. Had a small contingent of people that were following him. He never made it, never really made inroads largely on it. Uh, so I'm worried that's how it's actually going to play out. Uh, for the individual players, I think it does depend on circumstance and what you want, right? Like, if your goal is to become a professional soccer player and you have the opportunity to become a professional soccer player, I think it's very hard to say no to that right away, especially if you're in a situation where you know that the team is going to be incentivized to provide you minutes and to to showcase you. It's intriguing. Uh, on top of that, the league has that uh, you deal with Bellevue. It's an online school. I have my own opinions about some of those institutions, but the opportunity is there if you want it to continue your education in an online learning environment. So it's not a matter of you're completely punting on it, or you can only make it work around what class times are available at Reynolds that semester,
Yeah,
right? So there's that piece of it. I don't know. I think for me, like if you're Griffin Garnett, who had a chance to go to University of Washington, Andrew Richmond, who's got a chance to go to Georgetown, Simmons, who's up at UVA. It's hard for me to honestly say that they should say no to that opportunity and play for the Kickers, because a lot of these schools now, if you go there as an athlete, even if you're there for a semester or two, as long as you're not transferring out, if you leave to go pro, they'll honor your deal. You can be able to come back and finish your degree anytime. So I mean, that's a hard one to turn away. Like D1 college soccer is not what it once was, and there's a lot of flaws to it. Uh, but even doing one semester there, aka your first season, I don't think there's necessarily a problem with that. And if they really want you, they'll come back for you again. They can sign you anytime. It's not like MLS where there's the draft. You can just leave early and come right back to Richmond and play the next season, and get paid for it. So depends on what you want, depends on what you value. Uh, I, I'm sure all the guys who've gone through the process have made the best choice, for themselves in the moment.
yeah,
How that plays out long term, impossible to say right now. But you got to trust that they you have good family, good advisors around them, and it's not a foolish short sighted decision in either direction.
yeah. And I mean, like, also, it's tough to say because, like you said, like if you give any kid the opportunity to go pro in the sport that they've been growing up and playing in their hometown, some will really want that. Some really will take that. Some others don't. I think what you said is best. Like it really depends on the individual and what they want. What it really comes down to.
Yeah, like there
Um,
could be a really good player, and they want to go pro, and they decide, hey, let's go the college route for a year or two and roll the dice on getting one of those generation Adidas contracts into MLS.
yeah,
Right? That's not an impossible route. Or there's the hey, I'm just going to hold out and wait to turn graduate high school and pop over to Europe directly. That's a potentially viable route too. So it's the one of the best things about soccer, and also probably one of the worst things about soccer is there's so many different pathways you need to be able to take, and it's not like football or basketball where there is one single pipeline.
yeah, for real. And this is something else I was thinking about because John, who was on our show last week, if you ever listened to our message review, make sure you go back and listen to it. He made a good point about how where do you sell a player at in D3, and it's probably up the table, like championship, MLS, maybe not Europe. And I know we've heard Darren talk about Darren and interest from European teams and whatnot. And I'm just thinking, like, the more I think about it, I'm like, where is the interest going to come from? Because, like you said it before, like, if I'm a European team, why would I go out and buy a third division youth player in America where I could just literally go on my farm system, pull a kid out, and if he don't work, okay, I know I can at least sell him and make at worst 20K from an American side, you know, because it's gonna be a while before they bet him in. So then I'm also like, okay, well, maybe MLS. Well, we notoriously see how MLS works with lower elite teams, and they are very finicky about picking players up, and it's usually the very best players who then will have to go to Europe and prove themselves. So then I'm trying to figure out where is the pipeline lined up to make the transition happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because like And you would think like working with a club like FC Cologne, does that then give you an in to where you can have players go on trial there and they show themselves, and then that's a way to build it, or is it via like something with CD Leganes, or I don't know. And I think that's also the part that a lot of fans are having the grumblings that they are having, which I think are valid, is because the club is telling us this, but it doesn't seem clear. And also, the losing isn't helping with it, so it seems very unclear because on one hand, you're telling us you're very pissed about the losing, and we're hearing it from everyone in the front office and all the staff and and the players. But yet, with all the losing that is happening and the way how the club is trending downwards right now, performance wise, we also are getting told that the status quo is fine and we're building towards something for the long haul, which fans will support because, yeah, who doesn't want to see their club be around for the long haul? I don't think anyone is like, no, I'll just burn everything down. I just want to win a title now and then the club can go to crap later. I don't think any fan is saying that, but I think it's okay to tweak and revise the plan.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's hard for a lot of people right now is we haven't seen most of these young guys have a good second year, right?
And maybe it's just a soft, like maybe it's that true sophomore slump.
It's possible, but
Yeah.
if the goal is to try to get those guys moved along, and we're seeing regression and not progression, I feel like it's a little bit harder of a sales job on multiple fronts, on the to the own fans, but also to the other teams of, hey, buy this guy on, and don't worry about how he's playing this year. Watch his tape from last year. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if we want to watch much of last year tape either. All right. So yeah, those are good listener questions. Those were really fun. So once again, if you have any listener questions, make sure you send them our way. We'd love to answer them. They probably will help us talk about this club even more that we love so dearly. So Matt, we played Greenville on Sunday, July 20th, not on Saturday. So it's a road game against Greenville Triumph. The Kickers aren't at home. They will be at home Wednesday on the
hmm
16th against CD Leganes, who I didn't check their Louisville result, but they played against Pumas and Louisville City. Greenville will have a game on the 16th as well. They play Partner Horse Pine. So regardless of the result in that game, the Kickers will be outside of the playoffs for the first time since the start of this year. Um, Saturday match feels really important just because
Sunday.
I mean Sunday. God, I said Saturday. Sunday's match feels really important because if this team wants to keep pace, they need to win, and they need. Obviously, I would love to have a emphatic performance. We're dominating 3-0 win. Just get, just get over the line.
hmm
Get it over the line. And get the win there. But before we talk about Greenville, real quick, thoughts about CD Leganes? Anything you want to see? I'm pretty sure both of us like if any starter you trust putting out there, put them out there for 5 minutes. As soon as the ball goes out of bounds, up all of them out and play the use the reserves.
Realistically, yes. I mean, yeah. If anybody's got even a little bit of a nagging injury, you can take a seat with the fans, for the day. Otherwise, let, you know, I don't have a problem if healthy guys are out there. Maybe they get 45, and then let the U20s let the deep bench guys get a lot of time.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to pretend like I have any idea what Leganes' roster looks like. I'm not an avid La Liga watcher. I'm certainly not an avid relegation fodder La Liga watcher. So I don't know if guys have jumped ship from them in the off season and they've rebuilt their team. If it's the same group, couldn't tell you from the start. What I do know is that last time we played Spanish opposition, we played Espanol back in 2018. It was a fun game. They were an established La Liga side. And went out there and I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, Braden Troyer, of all people, got the scoring started in that one. So fun times to be had. I hope for Leganos' sake that their travel goes better, because one of the most bizarre stories I've ever come across
Oh yeah.
deals with this Espanol game from 2018. So I'm down in Atlanta, like the weekend before, hanging out with friends, getting ready to take just one of those like probably 15 times a day regional flights, Atlanta to Richmond on the way back. So I see a soccer team, in there, in the airport. Like, I wonder. Look more closely. Yep, that's definitely Espanol. Cool. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm not going to go bother them or anything. I quickly pull up my phone, look at Wikipedia. I'm like, is there anybody I should know? Here there are a couple like Costa Ricans who the national team had played and everything. Otherwise, wouldn't have had any idea who the guys are if they weren't wearing their gear. So I hop on the plane, get situated. Got my window seat, ready for the crappy little, what is it, like hour 10 flight, something
Yeah.
like that. A couple minutes, later, okay, here comes all the guys. Oh, team's on the crappy little Delta regional air flight, and here comes one of their players. All I remember is he was number 24, 25 at the time. Sits right next to me. This La Liga team has their guys riding middle seat on Delta regional connector flights.
That
You
is
know,
hilarious.
guys who are probably making good money playing professional soccer get the little crappy seat in the middle. While my just regular education professional, self, sitting window, right next to them, some other, rando, sitting aisle, and it's like that for all of them, like spread, across the plane. So I can't imagine what they're thinking in that moment. Like pro soccer players, we're writing commercial, we're writing middle seat. What a world!
What a world. Well, hey, you might be able to have that same experience because I think is it cool if we tell people what's going on in September or should we wait?
Do what you want.
Okay. So, folks, in September, that's elected by the way, in September, Rivercity 93 is going on the road. Me and Matt have scavenged up our pennies. We're going up to the game in Madison. So, if you are going, let us know. Maybe we can meet up somewhere before the game and bring a real shade of red to the stadium. That would be fun.
Yeah, should be a good time. Uh, Go up there, and the site, of the great celebration. This, see if we can be able to find the foam roller and deep in the annals of the stadium.
I'll be weak if that pro roller is still there. I'll be hilariously weak if that pro roller is still there.
But yeah,
Yeah,
also if you're interested in joining us, happy to be able to give you you know flight recommendations, all of that, and we're both on different itineraries,
yeah.
so more the merrier. Let us know.
More the merrier. I know we got some people going to Charlotte. I think some other people are going to
Portland.
Portland on the 9th. So if you haven't already, make sure you join the Discord. The Red Army Discord is always fun in there. But I think that's our time. We've done enough ranting. We've done enough overanalyzing and thinking. I think it's time to wrap it. My wife is influenced to every statement that I'm saying. So, with that being said, for Matt, for myself, we just want to say thank you guys for taking time of your day for listening to our podcast. We know right now things are not what they're supposed to be, but just always remember, be nice to someone. You never know how long it could affect someone out there, and things will change. Things will change. It's rock bottom. It feels like rock bottom right now. It's gonna change. Okay, it's gonna
Because
change.
this is not close to rock bottom.
Oh yeah, well no, it's not. It's not. But for Matt, for everyone else in the crew, for myself, we will holler at you guys next week, where hopefully we are talking about a Richmond Kickers win. Yeah,
Over Greenville specifically.
over Greenville. Yeah, yeah, that point over Greenville. See you guys next week. Be easy. Be